You should constantly be considerate and receptive to those around you, since life can change quickly. You never know when you might need assistance after all. I want to tell you a tale today that will undoubtedly make you feel something. Keep watching. It will keep your interest. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. A sumptuous and delicious breakfast is a great way to start any long day. An old man from Texas went to the Waffle House in Lamarck, hoping to get a dish of great breakfast. The supper, nevertheless, would not proceed as arranged. You'll want to reconsider placing an order after the Waffle House server did something unthinkable to the food on the elderly man's plate. Another woman discreetly recorded the waitress after noticing what she was up to, and the video quickly gained popularity. One of Laura's favorite restaurants is the Waffle House. She operates a salon in Lamarck, Texas. But when she entered the Waffle House early on March 3rd, she had no clue that she would see something so bizarre. There were plenty of patrons inside the Waffle House who were eager to start their great meal. It has long been regarded as one of Lamarck's most well-known locations. Nevertheless, this waitress continued to perform her duties despite the busy day. Just like any other day, Laura had ordered her cup of coffee. She was enjoying every sip of it, looking at people around her doing their own thing. That's when she noticed the weird behavior of one of the waitresses, and she almost choked on her coffee. Laura caught the waitress red-handed when the latter did something unimaginable, and the first thought that came to Laura's mind was to make a video of what the waitress was doing so that she could show it to everyone. Yvonne Williams, the 18-year-old waitress in question, has been working at Waffle House for a while in an effort to save and accumulate money for college. But after March 3rd, everything was different. For some time now, Laura had been observing Yvonne. Laura suspected Yvonne was up to something, so every time she went to the Waffle House, her eyes were fixed on her. That day proved her to be correct. A very elderly customer came into the Waffle House early on March 3rd and sat down directly in front of Yvonne's desk. He was waiting for his order of ham, hoping for something unusual and better than his normal fare. The Waffle House was a busy location all the time, so Yvonne had to work hard to keep up with the workload. She put a lot of effort into her work and attempted to please her clients, but what she accomplished for the elderly guy was amazing. Yvonne was working that morning, serving clients, just like every other day. The elderly guy had placed his order, and when Yvonne delivered it, she did something really bizarre and unimaginable on his plate. Yvonne was unaware that anyone was observing her behavior. She carried out her plan, not realizing that there was someone observing her and recording everything she did. When Laura realized what Yvonne was up to, she was shocked and in disbelief. When she had watched Yvonne shift her eyes furtively in all directions before carrying out her plan, she had understood that she was up to something strange. This was something Laura had never witnessed before. She was taken aback and unsure of how to respond. Was Yvonne really doing what I'm seeing, and how? Was all that was on her mind. Laura began to wonder what might have motivated Yvonne to ruin the elderly man's meal in the way that she was. Despite her best efforts to manage, perhaps she was just under too much strain because it was rush hour. What made Yvonne decide to do this with the elderly man? Why had she chosen him out of all the patrons in the cafe at that particular time? Was there a secret motive behind her actions? This wasn't just any elderly dude that visited the Waffle House. Adrian Charpanta was his name, and he was well respected by the whole Lamarck service team. However, Yvonne was unaware of this. Yvonne had been chatting to the elderly man behind the desk who was seated in front of her the entire time. She talked to him while doing what she had to do in secret, hiding his plate behind the bar. Yvonne was so engrossed in her work that she ignored her cook's request to pick up the outstanding orders and carried on conversing with the elderly guy. Yvonne was carrying out her plan while hiding behind the counter, but she was unaware that Laura was seeing everything and recording it all with her phone. The throng was so dense that Laura was unable to hear a word that the two were discussing, even though she wanted to know if Yvonne's actions had a purpose. Laura saw that the elderly guy was sick and had difficulty breathing since he had an oxygen tank and a pipe that entered his nose. She then observed Yvonne approach the man even closer in an attempt to hear what he had to say to her. Avoni stared hard into the man's eyes and did not move her gaze when he spoke to her. Although she was aware that he had requested her to do something, she wasn't sure if she was authorized to do so. With the exception of the elderly guy, Avoni paid little attention to anything else in her immediate surroundings. She didn't appear to be aware that work was mounting and that many other customers were also waiting for their purchases. This story started when the elderly guy had requested Avoni to do a really odd favor. Laura, who had been observing, thought Avoni's course of action was somewhat weird. The elderly guy had informed Avoni that he lacked strength and was excessively debilitated in his hands and arms. He begged for assistance since it was getting harder for him to chop the ham that he had purchased. Taking the elderly man's plate, Avoni held it in front of her. He was baffled as to why she had taken his breakfast dish away and what she was planning. Not to completely postpone his meal, but rather to beg for assistance. The cook was calling for the food that was ready to be delivered. The customers were asking questions, and her manager was looking at her for concentrating on only one client. Avoni disregarded all of this. She chose to assist the man initially. Avoni chose to carve the ham for the elderly guy since she recognized that he was having trouble with it. In order for the man to properly consume the ham, she took the dish and began chopping it up into smaller pieces. Laura suspected that Avoni was up to something nefarious, and this was precisely what was going on behind the counter. Unaware that this small gesture would alter the course of her life forever, Avoni returned the ham to the elderly man. Laura knew precisely what to do with the film she had recorded, because she had never witnessed an act like this before. She wanted everyone to see the kindness of individuals, so she uploaded the video on her Facebook page. Laura had only inquired for her bill when her phone began to vibrate constantly before it could come. In a matter of minutes, Avoni gained notoriety on Facebook, and a well-known person took notice of her tale and was getting ready to give her the surprise of her life. Conversely, Avoni had no idea that Laura was following her around and had taken her to Facebook fame. She had no clue how many people, especially that one renowned person, were completely in awe of her and knew about her now. Even now, Avoni believes that what she did was nothing out of the usual. She helped the client in front of her without hesitation because she felt it was her job and responsibility to do so. For anybody, she would have done it. Laura sent a really kind note on Facebook for Avoni, stating, "She got his plate and started chopping up his ham right away. Though seemingly little, I'm sure he saw it as enormous. I appreciate that your gesture of generosity and concern caught my attention when I woke up." The Facebook post received a lot of attention within a short period of time, as seen by the 99,000 likes and 47,000 shares it received. But Avoni's happy days were far from over. She had no idea what the following minute had in store for her. It's true that Avoni's mother knew she had raised her daughter well and was quite proud of her. Social media's support for Avoni would have made her happy, but her mother's pride would have been what really important. Avoni deserved all of the attention she was suddenly receiving. She was deserving of all the encouragement, as her deed of generosity amply shone. In today's world, few people give a stranger any thought. The city decided to take action for the young, compassionate Avoni, since everyone was rooting for her. The events that followed profoundly and irrevocably altered little Avoni's life. Avoni was in for a surprise just when she believed her days of glory were finished. One day, Mayor Bobby Hawking stopped by the Waffle House where she worked. However, why would someone with so much going on visit the Waffle House? As the mayor walked inside the diner, there was something concealed behind his back. He gave Avoni a sizable check in appreciation of her generosity. She was in shock at her good fortune. How had the mayor ever heard of her? Texas Southern University, which had paid $16,000 for Avoni, was the one who submitted the check. She would be able to attend college and finish her further education thanks to the scholarship. It might be challenging for someone Avoni's age to make ends meet, much less pursue college dreams. But she put a lot of effort into it and was always considerate of others. While it won't cost you anything, a small act of kindness has the potential to offer everything. For Adrian, Avoni's actions may have been necessary, but they meant the world to him. The elderly guy was relieved that someone could treat him with such grace and kindness because he had been distressed and anxious about his failing health. You should always be kind to everyone because you never know what the other person is going through in their life. Ivoni was unaware that Adrian had been grappling with his vulnerability for some time. I can use a fork just fine, but when I cut it, it seems like I'm going to stab someone, he remarked. I was simply like, fine, if you need help, that's what I am here for, Ivoni remarked. I was still chopping his ham, even though my cook was shouting for me to come get some stuff I had on the board. Simply said, I would do it for anyone. The mayor was moved by Ivoni's deed as well. Someone tagged me, he said, and it just touched my heart right away. The younger generation's concern for the older age is very amazing. So folks, here's a little story that will definitely get you thinking. I hope that was enjoyable for you. That's all I have to say for today. Please give this a rating, forward it to your friends, and we'll talk to you later. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.